Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of JRPG Journal. Thank you so much for supporting the first show. I hope you guys continue to support this new show and just keep on listening. So this next episode is kind of the story behind it is more special than the game itself. The game's pretty good, but I think the story behind it has a good history with me and a pretty interesting story, and that is Ys the Oath in Felghana for PSP and now for recently released on PC. And this is an action RPG brought here by way of Xe, developed by Falcom. And the story behind how I got a hold of this game and what this game means to me is really special. So for those of you that have followed me for a long time, might remember me as the PSP editor for Blistered Thumbs when that site was still around. And basically how that site worked was there was an open casting call by Angry Joe, who would be the editor-in-chief of the site. And so he's just like, yeah, send in your submissions and we'll pick the best ones. And for me, I had at the time just sort of by chance been keeping up this blog. I've been going through old PS1 classic RPGs and things like that, and just been replaying them and doing little reviews on a personal blog. And it was really fun to just do that. And then all of a sudden this popped up. I'm like, oh, at least I've got something to show for it. And so I sent off my application, not really thinking much about it. I'm like, man, Channel Awesome, that guy with the glasses, this is really popular. There's going to be tons of people that are going to be submitting, and I'm sure there will be somebody better than me. But lo and behold, I got an email and said that they picked me up. And so, like, yeah, give us your information and whatever, and we'll get a hold of you. And so I'm like, all right. I was kind of waiting around, and I can remember one morning just waking up and turning on Skype, and here it is. I get this Skype call from Angry Joe, and I'm like, whoa, this is crazy, because, you know, this was sort of at the peak of Channel Awesome and that guy with the glasses popularity, and Joe was obviously a huge part of that, so I was a little bit starstruck. I'd watched all his videos and really enjoyed them and still really enjoy them, and it was just sort of surreal to be talking to him, somebody I'd watched videos for so long, and we got to talking about what he wanted me to do for the site. And the first review he gave me was for Ys the Oath in Felghana, and I remember he's like, is this even a real game? I'd never even heard of this before. And I was like, yeah, no, this is a real game. Yeah, I'll definitely take a look. And I was excited. It's like, yes, I get to do my first, like, quote unquote professional review, and it's handed to me by Angry Joe himself. So I was very, very excited. This is an interesting game. It's the graphics aren't anything to write home about. It reminded me in a lot of ways of the PS1 Harvest Moon Back to Nature. Just sort of very simplistic graphics. It's more about the gameplay, and the music is phenomenal. If you've ever played a Ys game, then you'll know it's got like rocking guitar, like you just can really bang your head to the music as, you know, you're fighting bosses and just kind of grinding out loot. And this is a difficult game. I remember sort of just blazing through it the first time I beat it. I thought it was really fun to go through the different dungeons, fighting the bosses. The bosses were all really super fun, and you get different abilities. It's sort of Metroidvania in a way, in the sense that there's certain parts of each dungeon that are blocked off until you get a certain ability, like boots that allow you to walk over spikes or something along those lines. In the sense, it's more of a Zelda game than Metroidvania, because you can use those abilities and moves in other areas, but it was mainly purposed for the dungeon you found them in. And I can just remember the combat was really fun, hacking and slashing dudes. And the one thing that struck me was items were done in a very interesting way. It wasn't that you bought them at the shop and then you could use them. It was like enemies dropped health or mana regeneration potions, and then you would pick them up as you fight them. So you're fighting them, you lose health, you picked up these items, and then you just kind of keep going. And then I can just remember that some of the standout moments are the bosses. All the bosses were always something very much something I'd look forward to. They're all challenging. I can remember dying so many times. This is a very, very challenging game. I remember not too long ago, definitely within the last like 4 or 5 months, I tried replaying it just because for whatever reason I didn't have anything to play. And I just remember getting really stuck in this fire cavern. I don't know how I got through it. I got lost. The dungeon design was kind of confusing. I just kind of got lost and couldn't remember where I was going. But yeah, very memorable game. It reminded me of PS1, the PS1 days. It was very charming. The town you started in, very reminiscent of like a PS1 game. Very simple. Like, you get your blacksmith here, you got that there, and you have a very small cast of characters, but they're all they kind of make a special impact. You got Dogi, who is like your companion in most of the other games. And then he's sort of got this love interest girl that you'll meet throughout the game. So Adol, the main character of all these games, he is sort of an amnesiac. He doesn't remember his memories. And so that's sort of what this is all about. Again, sort of kind of remembering your memories and in your past. So this is definitely a game I would recommend to anybody that owns either a PSP, and I believe you can buy it digitally on the Vita and maybe on the PSTV for those few of you out there that own one of those things. You're definitely in for a challenge. It's a hard game, but it's very rewarding once you finally beat the bosses and you kind of are able to continue, upgrade your stuff, get better gear, and it's really fun to get new abilities and test them out and see how you can use them on the enemies. And again, I know I've said this a couple times, but the combat is just so satisfying. Like, killing guys it's really fun. The sound effects and just the feedback you get from hitting guys is really great. So I believe this was sort of the kickoff to Ys' sort of like re-emergence in the West with, started with this, and then we had Ys Book of Memories, where it was like the first 2 games remastered, and then they had Ys 7 and the new one, Memories of Celceta on the Vita. And then we got Ys 8 coming out on PS4, and I think that game's gonna do especially well on PS4 because I think it's on a similar trajectory that Persona is. Not nearly as steep or not nearly as popular, but I think with each new game it's gotten a tiny bit more popular. And I think now that there's going to be a version available on PS4, the most popular platform right now, that it's going to find an audience. I think people are going to really love it. So those are kind of my memories of Ys the Oath and Felghana, especially one that sort of kickstarted my my working career, my life as a making videos on YouTube was sort of with this game, and the opportunity that Joe gave me. So anyways, let me know what you thought of Ys the Oath and Felghana if you played the game, and just what your thoughts are if you've ever seen the game, if you're kind of curious about what this game is. I'd love to, again, talk to you guys about it in the comments below. And if you missed last week's episode, definitely give it a watch. It's, Final Fantasy VII, the game that started it all for me. And it's kind of awesome sharing some special memories from that game. So anyways, guys, once again, thank you so much for supporting this new show. I hope you continue to watch it. And I'm sure for those of you asking, there's been a lot of people asking about what the next game is going to be. I'm sure if it's popular in any way, I'll get to it at some point, but I'm kind of starting with the games that have held special memories for me. So anyways, guys, thank you once again for watching, and stay awesome.